Hey friends, welcome back. This is Sarah, and this is Midwife Your Garden, if you're new. And I have not been up to this far garden in 8 days. It hasn't been getting watered. I didn't have any run-ins with any of my neighbors before we left, so I couldn't ask anybody to water. I think that there will probably be a bunch of ripe tomatoes and maybe some peppers. I just hope everything's survived. It was a very hot week. I have really good root systems. These plants were about as healthy as they could be before, but I guess we'll see. And if we do get a decent harvest, I will take you along for that part too. All right, let's go look. Okay, well, nothing has fallen over, so that's a really good start. So this is carrots, newly planted potatoes, and I'm gonna walk you through things that we're doing for August. But if you can see, there are a few little sprouts in there. This is radishes. Not having been watered in a week, that's pretty impressive. So this is where all of the snapdragons were. They're all going to seed, which is fine. I will probably collect some snapdragon seeds, a couple giant zinnias, more snapdragons over there. But the real prize here is going to be this row of tomatoes and tomatillos that we will be looking through. There's peppers, and just it's a jungle in there. So I will take you in and see what we can find. I actually think that probably we will go ahead and harvest first. So let's grab a basket. Just sneak in here. We've got our basket. And we're just gonna dive into, well, I don't know, that might be too overwhelming. Let's start in this row. So at least in this row, I can see things from this side. So I do like to pick my tomatoes at first blush, so even this, just starting to blush, normally I would take. Obviously, I'm gonna take the red ones too. Isn't as bad as I expected it to be, and that may again be because it didn't really get watered. This is a sauce tomato. I will just take that part off. This is still going to be totally usable. So I don't know if you can see through there on the other side. We've got lots of red ones we're going to have to dig through there to get. These are the eggplants over here, and they made a few little eggplants this year. These got decimated by flea beetles, and if anything is going to have gotten decimated by flea beetles, I'm kind of glad it was the eggplants. I don't like eggplant that much, but other people in my family do, so I'm a little sad for them. The poblanos we picked a bunch of before we left. They look like they're surviving but not thriving right now. So we're gonna, and down there are some sweet peppers. We're definitely gonna get those picked today too. Let's see what we get. Just coming through here. I am around tomorrow, and I can come through tomorrow, so I might pick some of the newer blushing ones tomorrow instead. But we just get a lot of critters that come in here and take these. So again, I'm not gonna pick these poblanos just yet. Gonna let them get a little bigger than that. But we have some peppers. Red pepper starting to turn. This is a Horno de Toro, which just means horn of the bull, and that's kind of what they look like. I think we have some giant Marconis. Sorry, this is a little jiggly. Oh my goodness, friends. Look at those. They're beautiful. Oh, I'm so excited. I have to get over there and get those. But I also often pick my peppers as they're turning and don't wait for them to get all the way red. So I am gonna pick some of these. This one was meant to be picked as a green pepper. But again, we haven't been here in a week. We are gonna water, but we are gonna water so gently, friends, because it's the drought and then the sudden watering that has everything split. So we're gonna just gentle water today and again tomorrow and for the next few days until these guys have kind of caught up with their watering needs. I'm not really sure which ones these are. They look kind of like pepperoncinis, but we didn't plant any pepperoncinis this year, so not so sure what those are. We have lots and lots of jalapenos here. Nope, not that one. Here. And I think these ones I am gonna have turn red. We made a sriracha last year that was really good. And so I think that's what we're gonna do with the rest of these jalapenos. This year we have enough for a batch of salsa if we want it, although we still have a lot of salsa from last year. Okay, I'm gonna pick the rest of these tomatoes in a few minutes, but let me take you down to the other section and show you what that. All right, this is where we had our potatoes originally, and all we did was throw a few bean plants in here before we left. They are still alive, which is a miracle to me. We have this squash patch, which some of the plants look worse for the wear. They were starting to look worse for the wear before we ever left though, so I think a good watering and they will pop back up. Some of them, I don't know if you can see, we have some butternut squash back there, but a lot of them are just cute little pumpkins. We have lots and lots of cute little white pumpkins in the back there. You can see those. And then a very similar orange one, which is super fun. And then we do have a couple of larger pumpkins just for decoration. So we'll see. And then right on the edge here were some zucchini plants. And they were, I thought, mostly done when we left. But let's see. This is actually not too bad. We have one sort of almost proper size zucchini, which is impressive. But they didn't have any buds on them when they were gone. Oh, here, this is this is what you get kind of worried about when you leave for a week. But we'll make that into some zucchini bread, and that'll be fine. And we planted some new little ones before we left, and they are still alive. They're not very happy, but they are still alive. So we will give them a good watering and see if everybody perks up. I'm so excited though, guys. Everything's still alive. That's kind of a miracle for how long we left them. I'm gonna take you to show you these little pumpkins up closer though, because they are just so darling and we have so many of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's just on that one little plant, and there's more in there on the ground. And then these white ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So tons and tons and tons of them. I'm super excited. I will also show you what we got at the home garden. Little guy right there, I think he's supposed to be not very big, but he'll turn orange. And I'll show you kind of what our harvest from today looks like, because I think it's going to be mostly those tomatoes and those couple huge zucchini. Okay, we just got back from the far garden and now we are checking out the at-home garden. And one of my favorite things is this peach tree, which they're just starting to get a little bit of a blush. I don't know if you can see that, but there are so many peaches, guys. So many peaches. I took at least 2/3 of the peaches off this tree, and there's still so many peaches, and they're in pretty good shape. My little nectarine tree, not in such great shape. It is smaller, but it definitely has bug damage. I did not manage to spray it. I meant to spray everything with kaolin clay, and then my sprayer kaput, and I didn't get a new one. So you can see these. They're beautiful. They're not quite ripe anyway, but there's lots of bug damage. You can see all of the sugars kind of leaching out. And it looks like it's mostly ants. Lots of ant damage. So we will work on that for next season. We should get a couple, but maybe not a ton. But this peach tree is incredible. All right, let's turn you around and show you what's in the garden. So again, Snapdragon's going to flower. We will collect seeds from that. We had some visitors in here. This is a carrot patch. This is why I'm not planting more carrots right now. We had some visitors in here. I don't know if you can see, but there was a clutch of baby bunnies in here. So this maybe didn't get as well watered as it should have. So there's a few that have bolted. We're leaving that because the pollinators really like it. But again, carrots, carrots, carrots. This stretch back here is soybean or edamame. I am going to open that up later and see if we actually have any beans growing in there, but I think they're starting to get some in there. And I just hope those pods get big. But most of this bed is carrots and green beans. We picked a ton of green beans before we left, to the point where we ended up getting them blanched and frozen at my mom's house because there were just so many of them. But there's tons in here now, so we'll probably harvest a bunch of those. This was my third sowing of carrots, third and fourth sowing of carrots. So again, I have plenty of carrots. This little space right here had some last growing brassicas. I will probably plant can't decide if I'm going to do spinach on this side or kohlrabi on this side. So one of these bits is going to be spinach, and one of these bits is going to be kohlrabi. And I just have to decide which one is which. There are still a few kohlrabi left in here. We had a pest at the beginning of the year that ate a bunch of them, but now they are doing fine. We seem to have gotten rid of it. Pepper plants are just putting on tons and tons of peppers. We did have a few. I may have snuck out here last night and stolen a pepper or two that started to turn. Some little cabbages that I tried to grow but didn't protect very well. So this is slug and bug damage. We'll just take this out. A kale plant, also huge, luscious, lovely, didn't protect. And another little cabbage that I didn't protect. So for my fall brassicas, I do have to keep them covered. I hate keeping them covered because sometimes we get rodents when I keep things covered. But when I don't keep things covered, so this is probably still just cabbage moth. Cabbage moth I can deal with BT. I don't mind that, it doesn't bother me. But there's another bug, give me a second, I'll look it up, that will come and eat the heart out of this. And I hate that. And then you get these beautiful, luscious plants with no heart, and you can't get broccoli or cabbages or cauliflower from that. This is our celeriac, which is like a celery root, and they look very, very, very weird, but they're very yummy. And this is my first year really growing them successfully, because usually I just kill our little transplants before they make it outside. Tons of celery in here. I tried to plant some more beets in between, but the celery overgrew, so that's not gonna happen. These are the beets from the beginning of the year. I haven't even tried to take any of these out yet, but I think I probably got a few in here that could come out. I can't even see them. I don't know, friends. So some of those could probably come out. We'll get them out soon. Like I said, this is that other little patch. It's either gonna be spinach or kohlrabi, not sure. All right, let's head to the back. Whee! So this is mostly cucumbers. I'll show you the cucumbers that I got last night in a minute here, but they are still alive and well. The only reason that these are still alive and well is because people picked them for me while I was gone, and I will explain that when I show you the ones that we harvested. This was my first batch of carrots. These can absolutely come out now. They are certainly big enough. I don't know if I can get in here and show you this. But they are certainly big enough. But I just have been keeping them in here and just taking them out when we need them. This patch in here will probably be where I put some of those brassicas. We'll try and throw some broccoli in there and see if we can get anything to grow. And then similarly back here, these tomatoes, I need to, trellis up these few fallen bits here. But this whole patch right here, I think I'm going to attempt to put some brassicas in. So probably, again, it'll be broccoli. I did get a couple of tomatoes off of this. I'll show you those in a few minutes too. I need to pick basil because it's about to go to flower. And I have not picked cherry tomatoes, and I really need to get out here and get these cherry tomatoes. I don't know if you can see this, but this is like absurdity. There's an absurd amount of cherry tomatoes. These are a yellow kind. This is sun gold. So they are supposed to be that color. And then the red ones are similarly just so many. So I will get out here and get all of that picked. And let you know what our total harvest is after 1 week gone. Yeah, but this has been kind of nuts. I guess I can show you the last little bit here. There's not much going on here. The cherry tree has, I think, I don't know, it's 10 times bigger than it was last year at this time. We finally fertilized it last year and it said, yes, please, that's what I needed. So we are gonna have to prune it to keep it in shape, but it is finally doing its thing. Very happy. The raspberries are recovering. They were super, super weeded at the beginning of the year. They are putting on some fall raspberries now, which should be lovely in about a month. But they were really struggling this year, so we weeded and weeded and weeded and weeded and fed them, and they are starting to perk up a little bit. And then our wildly overgrown flower bed. Yes, it's lemon balm. Yes, it was in the ground. Yes, I know. Zinnia's still doing well. All the poppies have died. We pulled most of those out. We have a couple of milkweed plants here. I think this is just common milkweed. And we just let them go. I don't really ever see a lot of monarchs, but just in case they need it, they're here. More zinnias. I think the zinnias and the bachelor's buttons are most of what's left in here. This is a weed, but you can see there's lots of little pollinators on it. So we let it go. I think it's a mustard, a wild mustard maybe. And then there's chamomile back here. I do need to get around to picking the chamomile as well. The more you pick it, the more it grows, so more chamomile for us. Okay friends, so this is just from our homecoming. These are much bigger than I like for them to be, all of them really. But now that they're picked, we'll get back to picking normal size cucumbers. Those are the tomatoes, a few tomatillos from the other garden, and the zucchini. We pulled a few leeks, mostly because they came out while I was pulling other things. But we'll use them in a soup or something this week. Green beans, our first little batch of edamame. People swear that they just picked cherry tomatoes 2 days ago. That's enough to last us a week. A couple little tomatoes from here. So that's it for today's harvest.